From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Working hand in hand with nature.
Farmers and ranchers are the original conservationists, original environmentalists.
Now, one man is working to protect both agriculture and wildlife. We check out the latest in autonomy technology just released by John Deere. High interest rates, lower farm income, but there may be one guarantee right now in agriculture.
There's a lot of those sellers who have decided that land is a valuable asset to them and they're going to retain it.
The latest on land values right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer.
Ben's bins, please hold.
Yeah, Ben's has been busy all day.
Seems like no one can keep up with this new Z series. What did you all put in these seeds?
Science.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. While grain and livestock prices have been on a roller coaster lately, one thing on the farm has remained mostly stable. We're talking about land values, but who is buying farmland these days? AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us with the results of a new report. Michelle?
Clinton, while most university and industry land value reports published at year's end reflect a flat or slight downward trend compared to production expenses, land experts tell me the stability in those values reveals the resiliency of the land market, not just in 2024, but over the past 5 years. And the reason comes down to simple supply and demand. Land has always been a good investment, and as a result, values remain fairly stable in 2024, even with the large drop in net farm income and other economic headwinds.
Interest rates have not backed off at all like we anticipated, and those are all increased input costs to a farm operator, and in spite of all those factors, we still have them very engaged at most land sales.
He says motivated land buyers combined with the limited supply of land is keeping land values stable.
Across the industry, land listings are down, estimated to be somewhere around 25%.
Farm operators continue to be the primary buyers of ag land as they're reinvesting in their farm enterprise, expanding operations, and fully utilizing today's farm equipment. Farmers also realize the exceptional value land presents during the volatile commodity cycles.
There's a lot of those sellers who have decided that land is a valuable asset to them and they're going to retain it. I think that's kept a lot of land off the market. So there's that limited supply that continues to drive that.
To start 2025, real estate activity remains brisk, providing an optimistic outlook.
So that's giving us the appearance that we're going to go into the first quarter of 2025 for sure and see some more of that stability that we've seen over the past 6 months.
A benchmark farmland value report from farm credit associations in the Midwest confirms the stability of land values and similar regional variances. As this graphic shows, over the last 6 months, the average of the benchmark value changes ranged from minus 2.8% in Iowa to plus 5.7% in South Dakota, with an overall average of 0.9%. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
The U.S. is reporting its first human death from avian flu. Health officials say a Louisiana resident over 65 with underlying health conditions passed away. Now, the CDC noted mutations in the virus samples from the patient, raising concern about the potential for transmission. But they say no other person linked to them has become ill. And health experts continue to emphasize the risk of person-to-person transmission remains low. Now, they say the strain is different from the version associated with the outbreak in dairy cows. Several parts of the country could see a lot more snow over the next few days. Meteorologist Alyssa Heilman joins us with an update.
Well, let's talk exactly that. We are talking about snowfall estimates expected throughout portions of the United States as we go through the week and a little bit into the weekend. So let's advance it here. Seeing some snowfall in the north central states where they do tend to see some, of course, snow throughout the winter, but a little less common is what we're going to see in some southern areas of the United States as we continue to advance this Thursday, going into Friday, then into Saturday. You're seeing some purple color in the southern United States, who, of course, don't tend to see snowfall all that often in the winter, but that's along with a system that's going to start in Florida. It's going to be another system that has both snow, ice, and rain along with it, moving again from Florida to portions of the northeast into portions of the eastern half of the United States, bringing snowfall to southern states who, again, don't typically see that kind of snowfall. And while the snow and ice may be an issue for some folks, these pandas seem to love it. Look at them rolling around in about 5 inches of snow that covered the Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington, D.C. The zoo wasn't open on Monday due to the weather, but as you can see, they didn't mind a bit. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Now, the National Weather Service says Southern California may see the strongest windstorm in more than a decade as Los Angeles and Ventura counties face wind gusts of up to 80 miles per hour, with some isolated gusts expected to top 100 miles per hour. Now, forecasters warn the powerful dry gusts will bring extreme fire risk to areas that haven't seen substantial rain in months. Eric Snodgrass, who's senior meteorologist with Conduit Ag, telling AgDay, we're currently in a weak La Nina weather system, which means we are missing the subtropical component of the jet stream, creating those dry, windy conditions in the west and southwest.
It's the symptom of the pattern. And so the problem is that we've had winds that have anomalously been coming out of the east, going through the Mojave Desert, running over the mountains. They compressionally warm this is crazy. The dew point temperatures are like -10, whereas the air temperatures are in the 60s and 70s. So that gives you relative humidities.
Now, Snodgrass believes these high winds and drought in Southern California will remain a concern for the rest of winter. The Consumer Electronics Show is underway this week in Las Vegas. Ag equipment giant John Deere is on hand once again, showing off its latest tech. Now, this year that includes a refresh of its autonomous offerings. The company leaning in to solve the skilled labor shortage by rolling out new bolt-on autonomy retrofit kits. Now, that includes solutions for tractors running tillage implements, orchard sprayers, and even commercial landscape and construction equipment. Now, the goal is to mimic how a human operator might drive if one were sitting in the seat.
So enabling autonomy, and this is real autonomy that I could set, forget, right, and run in the field or monitor using Upsetter Mobile, is really, really important to get those jobs done on time.
These new autonomy kits are being made for model year 2022 and newer 9R and 9RX tractors and newer 8R and 8RX tractors, along with autonomy on 5ML series units. And the company says local Deere dealers will have a limited number of kits available for 2025, with a full launch set for 2026. Feeder cattle continue to see strength even as wheat fights to push higher. We'll talk markets coming up next. And later, this Florida ag leader is on a new mission to help farmers and waterfowl find a sustainable balance.
AgDay is brought to you by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator Closing Wheels provide quicker emergence and are more consistent in dry conditions than any other closing wheels. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.
Corn and soybeans pulled back on Tuesday while cattle continue to press higher. Michelle Rook is back with more on how much more this cattle market could climb in Markets Now.
Grains ending steady to better on Tuesday with new contract highs over in the cattle. Matt Bennett is here to talk a little bit about the markets. And Matt, let's start off talking about corn and soybeans. Actually fairly resilient, almost steady on the day. Do you think just a little squaring ahead of the reports?
Yeah, I think so. To be honest with you, the overnight markets look pretty rough. Friday was tough, and then you come in Monday, you get some of that back. Commitment of traders report, shows this huge long, over 200,000 long in corn. With that being the case and buying 50-some thousand contracts last week, I think that put a lot of pressure on the overnight market. But at the same time, I don't know that anybody wants to stick their neck out too terribly far, considering we've got what is most of the time considered the most volatile report of the year. So, there's a lot to be learned as we get through this week. I don't really look for a whole lot of action. I don't think that we'll get too far from unchanged on any of these days. Yes, the forecasts are very important, but at the same time, it's a big report. I don't know that anybody wants to take a huge position that they don't already have.
No, good point you make. What about the cattle market? New contract highs in live and feeder cattle futures, or the live cattle just trying to chase the cash? And will we get over 200, do you think?
I mean, it's certainly been a cash-led market, Michelle. I mean, I said 2 years ago I thought fat cattle were going to $200. I guess I said it was going to be during the calendar year of 23, and I really did think we had a shot, and we certainly made a run at it. Got within less than $1. At this stage, this is a very interesting market in that the funds have been long. They pushed their longs, held longs for a long time. But again, it's a cash-led market, so you've got some firepower to take this thing on higher. But we learned today that you're going to start seeing these Mexican cattle come back north of the border here within the next couple, 3 weeks. And with that being the case, it might take the shine off this market, at least in the short run.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Matt Bennett with agmarket.net. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
To contact Matt Bennett at Ag Market, call 844-4AG-MARKET or visit their website at www.agmarket.net.
Let's take a look here at what we're expecting in terms of precipitation coming up with this week and into the weekend. What we're seeing here, of course, some snowfall that's building, coming out of the northwest, building in the north central states, bringing snow to those areas, as well as that system I talked about before. That's going to bring snow to portions of the southern states that don't normally see it. Well, we see that building out in Texas and then moving northeast, again, bringing snow to areas in the southern United States who don't usually see too much snowfall in the winter. So seeing there's some rain mixed with ice, then snow along with this system, pretty similar to the one we saw recently that moved through kind of a similar area here. Going to see some impacts from this system up into portions of the Midwest, then into portions of the East as this system moves by. Also expecting to see some lake effect coming off of areas of the Great Lakes, and then more snow moving again east into portions of the Midwest and then the Great Lakes as we go Sunday into Monday. Temperature outlook here, January 14th to the 20th. Well, we're seeing a large portion of the United States, most of the United States, with below normal temperatures for January 14th again to the 20th. Most areas seeing those colder than normal temperatures, especially in portions of the southeast, which, as we know, is not normal for winter. Precipitation outlook for January 14th to the 20th. Well, we're seeing an area in the central part of the United States wetter than normal, and then some areas on the west coast drier than normal, as well as some areas on the east coast drier than normal, and then a large portion of the Midwest just seeing about normal precipitation coming up. Burlington, Iowa, high of 20, low of 9. Brick, New Jersey, high of 32, low of 19. Finally, Bluffton, South Carolina, high of 53, low of 29. Sunny conditions are around.
It's been talked about for a few years, and now it's finally happening. Smithfield Foods filing paperwork to begin selling shares of its common stock as part of an initial public offering. The world's largest pork producer filing a registration statement with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The company's owner, Hong Kong-based WH Group, is planning to sell 20% of Smithfield shares. Now, WH Group took Smithfield private back in 2013 after acquiring it for $4.7 billion. Smithfield plans to list on the NASDAQ under the symbol SFD. The National Pork Board is working hard to understand its consumers. The group has been doing a lot of research ahead of its new marketing campaign that it hopes to roll out in 2025. Now, that includes trying to understand pork's primary purchase drivers, or what is it that the consumer is looking for that will make them want to buy or seek out pork at the grocery store. Experts say there are a couple of non-negotiables.
One is taste and flavor. So what drives people into the category? Think about people's almost infatuation with bacon, right? What drives you to the category? It's the taste and flavor of bacon. So we know from all of our research and experience that pork flavor is a critical piece. The other two are nutrition and convenience. So we really need to think about those purchase intent drivers so that we know how to focus the conversation when we're thinking about those future generations that we're trying to influence when it comes to pork.
Now, he says taste and flavor are usually at the top of consumer sentiment studies, and that's why they're working on new messaging and marketing materials that focus on this key attribute. However, there are other issues consumers care about that they hope to leverage in the campaign.
We know that definitely there are certain consumer segments that are really cognizant of their health. So making sure that we deliver not only on taste and flavor, but remind them of why what role pork can play in their everyday diet is going to be crucial to help explain to them why pork should be part of their decision set.
There's also the convenience factor that pork is hoping to promote with its consumers.
People are on the go, as you said, Clinton, right? They're very busy. Their kids are busy. Their lifestyle is busy. So giving them something that they can have a really enjoyable but quick to prepare meal is a big part of the future, especially when you think about Gen Zs and millennials. The literally billions of pounds of product that we are cranking out annually, we need to think about what is driving people to consume those pounds, right? And not just by putting it on sale, by celebrating what makes it good. And by doing that, that's our efforts, right, on a daily basis. By doing that, we're protecting the long-term position of an industry.
That new nationwide brand campaign is set to roll out in May, just as the grilling season begins. For more information, go to porkcheckoff.org. Agriculture and wildlife share a unique partnership, and one man is helping to preserve it across the country. Next.
AgDay is brought to you by the Pork Checkoff. Your Pork Checkoff dollars are hard at work building a bigger appetite for pork right here at home. One of our main goals is to encourage younger generations to join us at the table. Visit porkcheckoff.org/radio to see how we're reaching this new audience.
Depending on where you live, duck hunting season is coming to a close. And while waterfowl hunting has a long history in this country, today there's a concerted effort to protect the habitat and waterways that make it sustainable. It's work a cattleman and former commissioner of agriculture in the state of Florida is taking on one farm and ranch at a time. This is the foundation that built Adam Putnam's future. He grew up on a Florida citrus and cattle ranch where he learned the importance of stewardship.
Farmers and ranchers are the original conservationists, the original environmentalists. They are stewards of the land, making sure it's there for future generations, but also able to generate jobs and income and food security off of that land.
It's a truth he's held closely throughout his career in public service and now as the CEO of Ducks Unlimited.
Having somebody who's been a member, who had an agricultural background in their livelihood and in public service, lightning struck and I got lucky. And it has been a wonderful, wonderful place to continue public service.
Today, he's leading one of the premier conservation and stewardship organizations in the world.
The Ducks Unlimited role is one of habitat. And farmers and ranchers are the stewards of the bulk of habitat in North America. We can't accomplish Ducks Unlimited's goals without farmers and ranchers as our trusted partners.
Putnam's belief in that partnership is showing up in real numbers. In 2023, under his leadership, Ducks Unlimited delivered more than 1 million acres of conservation, and ag lands are a big part of that puzzle.
That's dirt that we touch, mud that we move, culverts that we install, technical assistance that we provide farm families. And my goal is to get us to be a million acres a year, and that doesn't happen without being the preferred conservation partner of American agriculture. And so the types of practices that we have found to be incredibly helpful, not only for the good of wildlife and for conservation, but also for bottom lines and for profitability.
It's also why it's partnering with Farm Journal's America's Conservation Ag Movement and Trust in Beef to help them talk directly to the nation's best producers. As Putnam reflects on the future of Ducks Unlimited, he can't help but connect wildlife conservation to his family's agricultural legacy for the future.
We can never be successful if American agriculture is not successful. And we're going to be successful together, one relationship at a time. And if we do that, the farm family is going to be successful, they're going to have confidence in the future, and our conservation goals are going to be successful.
And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day on Farm Country.